What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? It is Michael Fletcher. We are live as we are going to do, well, again, another roundup of the Bulls Corner and the Ranger Roundup right here on YouTube.com alongside my partner in crime, Mr. Anthony Florio. And, well, we're just going to dig right in and just go right off. Now, we're going to start you off with the Bulls Corner. And here's the thing. After the Game 5 loss, 94-88, we started hearing all this, I'm going to say it, garbage from a lot of the Bulls haters and everybody else. Oh, they're not playing right. Milwaukee's starting to muscle Chicago around. If they keep playing like this, they're going to choke. It's going to be the biggest choke job in NBA history. No team has ever gone 0-3 and this and that and blah, 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 blah. Chicago comes out and you know what? I'm like, you know what? Chicago, all they got to do is just get back to basics. Play with defensive intensity. Noah, Rose, Butler, they just got to show up, try to stymie the young guns of the Milwaukee Bucks, and this thing is a wrap. It's over and done with. Now, Florio's kind of a little nervous. He admitted it, that, privately, he's like, yo, I'm getting a little nervous, and I don't like it if they go back to Game 7 and it goes back to Chicago, I don't like our chances. I pretty much told Anthony the same thing. All Chicago got to do is just get back to basics, and we got this done. Pretty much and simple. So, Game 6 happens, and, well, let's just say this. It was a Chicago stampede. 120-66. The Chicago Bulls wins the series. They win it 4-2. They are onward to the next round of the playoffs, and they will get a date with the Cleveland Cavaliers, and that actually jumps off on Monday night. Is Game 1 on TNT. So, how did Chicago do it? How did they win this game? Pretty simple. When you shoot 51% from the field, 50% from three-point range, and again, it's a feast or famine with the three-point range. 81% from free throws. When you out-rebound the Bucks 50-41, the assist was 31-17, plus the turnover battle, that dreaded turnovers that was killing Chicago, they only committed 12 turnovers. What did Milwaukee do? A mere 18. Then on top of that, the bench, Bayless, Mayo, Henson, Dudley, you could say Enos and Plumlee. Basically, they were shredding Chicago's bench. Well, none of them practically did nothing in this game. Every single Bucks player was in single digits, scoring-wise. All 5 starters from Chicago, Dunleavy, Gasol, Noah, Butler, and Rose, were all in double figures. Dunleavy, 20 points. Gasol, 19 points. Butler had 16. Noah had 11. And Derrick Rose had 15 points in this game. This was a complete and utter thrashing. And it was over literally in the first quarter. 34-16, Chicago jumps out. And they were well on their way. In the second quarter, tempers started to flare a little bit because, well, let's just say Mike Dunleavy had a rare noggin diva moment. Put a forearm shiver to Michael Carter Williams in the face and kind of got Milwaukee fans all upset. Then he did that to Akandepo, and, well, Akandepo tried to get some revenge trying to get some payback. After a 3-point shot, he puts a little forearm shiver right into the rib cage of Dunleavy. Well, believe it or not, yeah, nice job, because you just got a flagrant 2. Out of the game you go. He gets tossed out of the game. If it made matters from bad to worse for the Milwaukee Bucks, because Adebayo only had 5 points in the game. I mean, there's really nothing else to say. This was complete and utter domination. I think Chicago just got pissed off, sick and tired of all the garbage they were hearing, and took it out on a Milwaukee Bucks team that pretty much was in over their heads and had no idea what was about to happen to them, because they got taken to the cleaners and then some. Chicago, it was like the old analogy it's like a Japanese or Chinese restaurant. They ate the food, they scared their wives, and they walked out with the victory. So they basically went into the Bradley Center, basically did a Chicago stampede, messed up the entire house, took the crowd out. Basically, all the fans that were there were all Chicago Bulls fans celebrating, and it was a complete and utter thrashing. I've never seen anything like this. The worst beatdown in NBA playoff history. They dropped nearly a double nickel on the Milwaukee Bucks, and they are walking on their way to the next round of the playoffs. Anthony, it is yours.
Yeah, I had to unmute my mic. I'm actually in a Facebook chat with our special guest when it comes to our big show later on tonight. He's been messaging me for the last couple of minutes, but nonetheless, hello friends, it is Anthony Florio here with you for this, what I'm going to call this the appetizer to the main course, if you will. We're the appetizer right now. In about an hour and a half from now, that's the main course. So the biggest night in the history of the Strictly Sports franchise. I mean, 3 years we've been doing this, and what a way to start it off with myself and Michael Fletcher here talking about the largest series clinching victory in NBA playoff history. That's right, you heard it. Largest series clinching win in the history of the NBA playoffs. How's that, Michael Fletcher? What do you think of that? Largest series clincher of all time. Now we've seen some, big series clinchers over the years. I mean, well, just recently, look what Washington did. The Washington Wizards. Look what they did against the Toronto Raptors in their clinching game earlier in this postseason. That was a 31-point beatdown, as I recall. Or what about 2008 in the NBA Finals in Game 6? What the Celtics did to the Lakers when the Celtics finally got that elusive 17th banner. What did they do? They won by damn near 40. It was 39. They beat the Lakers by 39. I think that might have been the previous record. I don't know what the record was before this 54-point beatdown by Chicago last night, but oh my gosh, Michael Fletcher, unbelievable to say the very least. But yeah. But nonetheless, just an absolutely incredible performance by the Chicago Bulls. And they needed it too. We went off on them the other night, when we did this on Monday night, right around, as we included this with the rest of, well, we tried to do it Monday night, and then we finally did a makeup show Tuesday night, but just an all-around effort by the guys tonight. I should say last night. Your former Dookie Fletch, Dunleavy, leading the scoring with 20, Gasol with 19 and 8 rebounds, Jimmy Butler with 16 and 5 assists, Noah 11 and 10 rebounds, Derrick Rose only had 15. He only played about 25 minutes. They didn't really need him. Everybody got into the act. The only roster guy who didn't play was Cameron Bairstow, who was inactive. I mean, Heinrich got about 20 minutes. Aaron Brooks got in there. Tony Snell, Mirotic, Nazir Muhammad, Doug McDermott, the former Creighton product, who was absolutely incredible. You know, the scoring machine at Creighton, and E'Twaun Moore. I mean, every Bulls player scored at least 1 point. Amazing. Now I know when you think of plus minus, that's a hockey stat. Well, get this, Fletch. Every player on the Bulls roster was in the plus category. I mean, from Jimmy Butler having a plus 46, Derrick Rose had a plus 41, Noah had a plus 38, Gasol a plus 30, Dunleavy a plus 29, all the way down to Heinrich who had a plus 2. That's the worst. And get this, every player on the Milwaukee roster was in the minus category. Every one of them. And who was the offender there? Chris Middleton, minus 41. All the way to Tyler Ennis and Miles Plumlee, another former Dookie, Miles Plumlee, minus 8. Yeah, they tore it up. Leading scorer only had 8 points. That was Zaza Pachulia. 8 points in 17 and a half minutes. I mean, oh my goodness. I mean, 33% from the field, whereas Chicago was 51% from the field. Chicago shot 50% from three-point range. Milwaukee, 21%. Free throws, Chicago, 81%. Milwaukee, 63%. Chicago out-rebounded 50-41. Each team had 4 blocks. And Chicago only had 12 turnovers. Milwaukee had 18, like Fletch said. O.J. Mayo and Michael Carter-Williams charged with technical fouls. Giannis Antetokounmpo, though, that was the killer right there. A flagrant and an ejection. Time of the game, 2 hours and 19 minutes. Man, I mean, now we've been covering the NBA playoffs for a very long time, and I don't know, Michael Fletcher, I don't know if we've ever seen anything like what the Chicago Bulls did last night. I mean, I even heard that Scottie Pippen even tweeted during the game. It reminded him of the good old days. This was what, you know, him and Michael and all those other great Bulls from, you know, years past, you know, like Horace Grant, Dennis Rodman, Steve Kerr, and, you know, Bill Cartwright and all these other legends. And back when the Bulls were kicking ass and taking names. I mean, that's when they were really fun to watch, when they were winning all those championships in the 90s. But yeah, it definitely reminded me of that. I mean, and on top of that, Michael Fletcher, I don't think you could have gotten a better birthday gift last night. I mean, that was your birthday last night, and that was their way of saying happy birthday, Michael Fletcher. Thanks for all your support, brother. We appreciate it, and we're gonna give you a present to remember us by. And oh boy, you unwrapped one hell of a gift last night, brother. Let me tell you. I mean, a 54-point beatdown on your birthday to clinch a series. Oh, unbelievable, to say the very least. I mean, 34-16 Chicago after 1, 65-33 at the half, 91-52 after 3, and then the final score 120-66. I mean, whew. And now it's on to Cleveland. On to Cleveland. And they're banged, and they are not, and they're in trouble here. Kevin Love is out. Kevin Love is done. He's out for the next 4 to 6 months. That is a major sigh of relief. I mean, I feel bad for what happened to him. I mean, I love his body of work. Don't get me wrong. I love his body of work, but he's a beast. And he would have killed us. No question about it. But with him out, that definitely, you know, gives us a puncher's chance. I still don't like our chances. I still think Cleveland wins the series, but I think we have our chances went from no chance to a puncher's chance. That's all I can say about that with the Love injury. And then on top of that, J.R. Smith, Dinkelberg Noggin Diva moment in the clinching game against Boston last Sunday when he took out Crowder. He's suspended for the first 2 games. So Chicago, can they take advantage? I don't know. But here's the thing, though. You still got LeBron, you still got Kyrie Irving, and you still got a deep bench. So that's all I can say about it. I still think Cleveland wins the series. I'm thinking 6 or 7 at least. But I wouldn't be surprised if that thing goes 7, though. Because, I mean, This is evenly matched. And personally, I think these are the two best teams in the Eastern Conference. I mean, no disrespect to Atlanta, but Atlanta has been, struggling against Brooklyn. They're trying to put that thing away. They have a halftime lead right now at the Barclays, so we'll see what happens. And, well, it's on to Cleveland and Monday night, and that kickstarts what's going to end up being a triple indemnity night for you and me and the rest of our crew. I mean, we got a Bulls Corner, we got a Ranger Roundup, and on top of that, we got the Wrestling Forum. Good Lord. The schedule makers, I guess they must love our work so much, they want a lot of it. So, schedule makers, we'll find a way to we'll find a way to heed to meet your demands. That's all there is to it. So, if you need us to go the extra mile, damn it to hell, we'll go the extra mile if we have to. So with that said, Fletch, very pleased with this outcome. I mean, they needed to get their heads out of their asses. Oh boy, did they do it and then some. That was a Triple H, John Cena, Randy Orton, RKO Barry job. That you want me to sum it all up? That's what it was. So congrats to Chicago. And hey, I'm not taking anything away from the Milwaukee Bucks. I mean, that's the best Milwaukee Bucks team I have seen in 14 years. Since the team that almost went to the finals in 2001 when they lost to Philadelphia and Allen Iverson and all them. That's the last time I can remember the Milwaukee Bucks being near relevant. But I'm telling you one thing right now, Michael Fletcher, and I know you'll agree with me on this. Jason Kidd, a tremendous job with them. That is a great young team, and you're there first. I think they can be a dark horse in the Eastern Conference next year. I really do. Get all those guys back, get them all healthy, get them tone down the Dinkelberg, Nagin Diva BS, and they'll be fine. Well, we go from celebration and excitement, and now, Michael Fletcher, unfortunately, let's get to the heartbreak.
Oh, heartbreak and despair as we are on the Ranger Roundup, as we're in the second round of the Stanley Cup playoffs, the Washington Capitals versus your New York Rangers. And Ranger fans, if you were not hungover after this loss, I don't know how you make it. I don't know how you made it out of it in New York. Now I had to be professional, so because I had to work today, so I didn't really hit too hard. But I did have a couple of Smirnoff Ices last night. I'll admit that. But oh man, I mean, this one is really going to set some people off. All right, let's start at the top, and then we'll go into the disaster at the end. It started out with the Rangers out shooting the Capitals 12-7 in the first period. However, near the end of the first, on a power play of all things, because it was Dominic Moore, he held Jay Beagle. That led to the power play. Well, the next thing we know, Brandon Holtby to John Carlson to one of the biggest Ranger killers of them all, Alexander the Great, Alex Ovechkin scores at 18-13, 1-0 Capitals. A power play goal, the third of the playoffs for Alexander Ovechkin, and the Rangers were trailing 1-0 after one. There was no scoring after the second. The Capitals outshot the Rangers 10-9. Third period, again, craziness. For at least 15 minutes, nothing happened. Pretty quiet in the second. Then Carl Hagelin to Kevin Hayes, Jasper Fratz puts it home, and there's your tie. It was 1-1. We're thinking, all right, let's get the next goal. Maybe we get it into overtime. Well, we were about a minute away from it, and then, well, I gotta say it. This is really gonna set people off. Nicholas Backstrom to Alexander Ovechkin. Joel Ward at the doorstep. 1.3 seconds left in the game. The Capitals takes a 2-1 lead. That's the final score, folks. 2-1. The Capitals steals game one. They steal home ice advantage in Madison Square Garden. However, based off some intel that I heard and from a few people, it should have been a penalty called at the end because it looked like Backstrom put one of the Rangers on the boards. It should have been a roughing penalty. Nothing was called on that play, and that was the layout, and that led to the game-winning goal. And, you can't cry over spilt milk. You can't let that happen. It happened. Nothing more to say about it. So, basically, here's the stats. Power plays, the Capitals was 1 for 2. Rangers 0 for 2. Hits was nearly even, 34-32 New York advantage. New York won the face-off battle. That was one of the things we were worried about in the last series. They weren't winning the face-off battles. They were winning them in this game last night. Giveaways, New York, you got to stop this. This is becoming a trend, and I'm not liking it. 20-13. Takeaways, we were better at that. Block shots, they had the block shots over New York, 19-15. The 3 stars of the game, Henrik Lundqvist, hard luck loser on this one with 29 saves. Alexander Ovechkin got the 2nd star, and Brandon Holtby was the player of the game, 32 saves for the victory. And I'll tell you what. I understand why we might be a little upset and we'd be like, oh, you got to be kidding me. But think about this, guys. And I really brought this up with Anthony last night. New York lost a game against Pittsburgh during the series. It was game 2. New York won the first game. They split 1-1 after getting out of New York. What happened next? New York was able to sweep the next 2 games and then came back to New York and finished it off. So if you're New York, there's a lot of pluses here that you can take away. You outshot them 32-29. You got to sustain the pressure. Plus, you won the face-off battles, which is a big plus. The one thing you got to stop doing is giving the puck away. Stop making stupid mistakes. And plus, penalty-wise, it was about even. They both committed 3 penalties apiece. So you can't yell, stop the penalties, because, neither made the mistake. But you got to be a lot more aggressive, and you got to show you want this bad. Because now, Washington just ripped the home ice advantage from you guys. And now they feel confident, especially ripping that game away from New York, where we were thinking, this is probably going to overtime. Next thing they know, they score 1.3 left and stick the dagger in our back. Oh, no. There's going to be some payback for this one. New York is going to be coming to play tomorrow afternoon at 12:30 on NBC. So with that said, Anthony, it is yours.
Well, the Washington Capitals definitely, they wanted it more. That was obvious. And I told you I was scared of this team, Fletch. Now you know why I'm scared of this team now? Now you know why I didn't have a good feeling going into this thing? Yeah, now you get it. And, yeah, now, to say the very least, I'm very nervous. That's all there is to say about it. And if God forbid they lose again and go down 0-2, it just might end up having to be time to push the damn panic button. That's all there is to say about it, because I am definitely, I was scared before. Now I don't know what I am, but nonetheless, Washington Capitals, they definitely, they were the aggressors, and we talked about it, long layoffs. The Rangers had a 5-day rest period after putting away Pittsburgh last Friday night, and then Washington having to go 7 with the Islanders doing that on Monday, only getting 2 days of rest before last night, and yeah, so big win indeed for the Washington Capitals. And I agree. I mean, of course, I was busy doing other things, but as soon as I was done, I saw the Ranger tie the game. I saw the tying goal. That I did. I saw Fast's goal, and that was great. And based on the time that was left, 4.5 minutes or so, I thought for sure we were going to overtime. I really did. And then had another thing come up, and then I took care of that. And then after I was done, I'm like, okay, this thing's got to be well into overtime, I'm sure. And then I see the Calgary-Anaheim game on. I'm like, oh, the game's already over. I'm like, they must have had a quick overtime or something. I don't know. And then when I saw that Washington had won the game, I'm like, no, you got to be kidding me. What happened? I don't get it. And then when I saw what happened, it gives me flashbacks to Jeff Carter of the Los Angeles Kings, who scored at the very end of the first period in Game 3 of last year's finals. And yeah, it definitely brought back some painful images of that, unfortunately. But nonetheless, what now? Are you telling me that the Rangers got victimized by authority shenanigans again? We saw this last year in the finals. You're telling me Bettman and his crooked refs screwed us over again?
Supposedly, from what I'm hearing, because I didn't see it, but according to one of my members of the 2184 crew, there should have been a penalty called that wasn't called, and that's why they believe the Rangers lost, was because of the fact that it was such a bang play, because there was a hit to the boards. I guess one of the Rangers got dunked, and they were thinking that there should have been a roughing penalty on Backstrom that led to Backstrom to Ovechkin, and because there was a little bit of a preoccupied scrum, that was basically what led to the game-winning goal, and thus the Rangers losing. So I don't know if I can say yes or no, but from what I'm hearing, they're saying that the Ranger fans might have a gripe to be yelling that there should have been a penalty called. But like I said, I didn't see it, so I don't know.
Dinkelberg. That's all there is to it. I mean, oh my goodness. But yeah. I thought we were past this. I mean, I thought the authority shenanigans were over. Well, apparently.
Well, vice versa. I think a lot of Milwaukee Bucks people were yelling Dinkelberg and were yelling the authority shenanigans with the bowl thing last night too. I don't know if you noticed that too.
Well, the game was so well in hand. I didn't even bother, but nonetheless, but yeah, story of our lives. That's all there is to it. Bettman has it out for us, clearly. I mean, he didn't want us to win the cup last year. He wanted his precious LA Kings, his best for business faces. And what do we have here? Another precious face of the NHL, Alexander Ovechkin, the best player to not win a Stanley Cup. Clearly, he wants him to win the Stanley Cup this year. Good Lord, if that happens. Oh, Lord. But nonetheless, sorry if I'm going on a little bit of a little psychotic rant here, but this year, man, I mean, I just want for this year to be our year, man. I mean, after the year we had, winning the President's Trophy and setting records for wins and points and everything else, I honestly thought maybe this was going to be our year. But if BS like this keeps happening, oh no, it won't. But nonetheless, let me put that aside. I don't want to be a downer here, but I'm just gonna try to do my my Barry Melrose thing like I do so well. 3 stars of the game. Where was Joe Ward on that list? I mean, he scored the winning goal, so I think he should have gotten a lot more credit, honestly. The other 2 guys I'm fine with. I mean, Henrik Lundqvist, 27 saves on 29 shots. Braden Holtby had 31 saves on 32 shots. That's why he was the number one. Ovechkin, a goal and assist. He had a hell of a game. I'm definitely going to give him credit for where that's due. I thought he was definitely, the best player on the ice for the Washington Capitals. No question about that. Backstrom had a great game as well. Carlson definitely looked good as well. Ward definitely, of course, with the big moment there. And yeah, so that's my thought on Washington. As far as New York Rangers go, I mean, Jesper Fast, with the goal there. Hagelin played a good game. Hayes had a good game as well. And Danny Girardi had a solid game. Brassard, solid game. Danny Boyle, a solid game on his end as well. And yes, everything that we, I mean, and Zuccarello, with Zuccarello being out, I mean, that definitely doesn't help matters either. I mean, if Zuccarello had been in there, does the outcome of the game change? I don't know. Very good chance it does, but nonetheless, I mean, looking at the big numbers here, New York outshot Washington 12-7 in the first. Washington outshot the Rangers 10-9 in the second, and then again 12-11 in the third. Both teams had 3 penalties. Washington was 1 for 2 on the power play. The Rangers were 0 for 2. New York won the faceoff battle 34-27, percentage of 56-44. Rangers also had more hits, 34-32, and then Washington had the block shot edge, 19 block shots to 15 for the New York Rangers, and definitely, solid. I mean, credit Washington where they're due. I mean, they have not allowed a power play goal so far in this postseason. I mean, they killed. They were 14 for 14 on the penalty kill against the New York Islanders in the opening round, and so far, 2 for 2 against the New York Rangers in this series. Only one game in, but yeah, Holtby was amazing. There's no question about it. 31 saves on 32 shots. Great job by him. And like I said, Ovechkin was definitely all over the place. He was the best player on the ice. I'll give him credit where it's due. And Backstrom played very well as well. And Carlson, like I said, had a great game. And Ward and Brooks Orpik, I thought, had a solid game as well. And and those are your bread and butter guys. I mean, those are the guys that definitely, if they keep doing what they're doing, then there's no question about it. Washington's going to win this series. There's no doubt about it. And I'm really hoping I'm wrong about this, but it's only one game. I'll stop crying over the spilt milk for now, but it's just that I just don't like authority shenanigans, and it's a damn shame that we got victimized by those again. Just goes to show you who Gary Bettman wants representing his league. That's all there is to it. But Jesper Fast, a goal there. He had a great game. Danny Girardi, another solid game out of him. There's no doubt about it. Tanner Glass, I thought, played very well as well. And Hagelin, definitely a good game from him. Hayes, like I said, another great game from him. Mark Stahl did well. And, of course, what I have to keep saying. I mean, our bread and butter guys, they have got to wake up. Rick Nash, I'm talking to you, first and foremost. Marty St. Louis, postseason of a lifetime a year ago. He's got to wake up. I mean, Brassard, Stepan, they definitely need to get in there as well. I mean, I thought none of them really played up to their potential last night. And, Lundqvist was fine, 27 saves on 29 shots. You can't blame him for the loss. I mean, it was just, the Caps were in the right place at the right time. I'll give them credit where credit is due. And, nice win for them. Game 2, early afternoon matinee, obviously, to kickstart what's going to be, the biggest day, maybe the biggest sports day of the year. I mean, with Game 2 of the Capitals and the Rangers and the Kentucky Derby and Game 7 of the San Antonio Spurs and the LA Clippers in the NBA playoffs. And then on top of that, of course, the fight of the century, Floyd Mayweather, Manny Pacquiao, which we're going to be, talking about on the biggest Strictly Sports show of all time, featuring our special guest panelist in a little while. So yes, All I know is, the Rangers have got to wake up here. Those core players have got to wake up. I mean, Ricky Nash especially, and not just Ricky Nash, Fletch, but there's another guy who I really, really want to see more of, Marty St. Louis. I mean, there's a guy who really has got to wake up. That's another guy that's got to find the score sheet. I mean, Nash is one thing, but Marty St. Louis, after the great postseason he had a year ago, he needs to start getting going as well. And as heartbroken and angry and bitter and disappointed as I am about this loss from Game 1, I'm going to have to channel my inner Derek Ferrera here and say it like this. The New York Rangers are coming to play in Game 2. That's all there is to it. And they better come to play in Game 2. Because if they go to Washington down 0-2, I know how great they were on the road. I know they've been road warriors as of late, but they fall behind 0-2 to Washington, then it just may be time that we have to do the one thing we never want to do, and that's push the panic button. We push the panic button, look out. No good comes out of that. Don't make us have to push the panic button. It's only one game. Let's regroup. Let's get ready for Game 2. Early afternoon matinee. Let's get it done. Let's get this to Washington, split 1-all, like we did against Pittsburgh. And then hopefully things will go exactly the same as it did against Pittsburgh. That'd be great, but not against this team. I don't see that happening. I still think this thing goes 7. I still think we win. But our chances definitely took a major hit. So wake up, New York. Come to play in Game 2. That's all there is to it, because this is supposed to be our year. Let's get there. That's all. So with that said, Fletch, I don't know what else there is to say, except let's just move on. Fletch, I'm all set.
All right, no problem. And you know what? What we're going to do is we're going to actually end it right here, guys. So this is the breakdown. So tomorrow, the New York Rangers do play Game 2 at 12:30. We've been talking about it. It will be on NBC. So immediately following that game, Anthony and myself will be back because I don't have to work till later on in the night, at least till 6 o'clock. So for the first time ever, you're going to get a special matinee edition of the Ranger Roundup. So when the game goes final, that could be 3:30, we don't know. But when the game is gone final, myself and Anthony will jump back on here. We'll talk about Ranger Game 2, and then we will set up for Game 3. And right now, Monday night is looking to be absolutely nuts. Wrestling Form, Ranger Roundup, Bulls Corner, all in one night. It's gonna be chaos on that. But speaking of chaos, come back in about 45 minutes or so for what is undoubtedly going to be the biggest Strictly Sports show of all time. We are gonna preview the fight of the century, Floyd Mayweather versus Manny Pacquiao, going down tomorrow night at the MGM Grand Garden Arena with Anthony Floyo, Michael Bullock, myself, Derek Ferrera, and a very, very special guest from FightHype.com. So until then, you know the routine. Hug the hand pals. We out. We'll see you in 45.